I kept showing up because I had a clear reason why. We often overestimate what we can achieve in a day and what underestimate what we can achieve in a year. Look at your activity as not something that you have to do, right? That you should do, but something that you get to do. You have to always remember why you started and why you love this.
Master cyclist, cycling coach, and a podcaster himself. Our guest today on the Settle or Be Better podcast is Mr. Venky, who's going to be talking to us about becoming fitter with cycling and a lot more. Welcome, Mr. Venky, and over to you. Why don't you begin by telling us a little bit about your personal health and well being story and your current work?
All right. Thank you, Sakshi, for having me on the podcast. Um, See, my personal health journey started actually 15 years back, 15 years ago. Back in 2008, February 16th, I remember because that's my birthday, and we were on, to kind of celebrate my birthday. We went out. I was living in Hyderabad around at that time, and we went out to Prasad's IMAX to watch a movie and have lunch and all that. And there is this weighing machine there that shows what your weight and BMI and all that. So that showed me that told me that I was 20 kilos overweight, and that my BMI was bordering on obese. So I said, that was a little bit of a wake up call, in the sense, I it's not that the weighing machine had to tell that I was overweight. I knew I was overweight because I've always been overweight through my life. I've been always a chubby kid. I've always been the maybe the only guy who gained weight during my hostel days, with all the kind of bad food they had. Everyone lost weight, but only me, I gained weight, right? So I have always been overweight. But what changed around that time was, at that time my kid, my wife was pregnant with our first child, and she was carrying. And this thought came into my mind saying, I am bringing another life into this world. And if I am not healthy, right? If I am not healthy enough to take care of myself, um, how am I going to take care of my family, right? that that thought came into my mind that day, and that changed everything for me. So that became my why. Before that, I a little bit, I'll take a little step back and talk about how was my health till that point of time, right? As I said, I have always been a chubby kid. I've always been on the healthier looking side, but never healthy. Even as a kid, I faced a lot of health issues. I fell sick quite often, a lot of throat infections, and bronchitis issues. Lot of I was asthmatic. So it was like, even as a kid, my mother used to carry me on her, uh, carry me and run around to hospitals. My earliest memories as a kid was that. of me, being carried by my mother, running around for hospitals because I was not able to breathe. I was constantly coughing. Even the nights, sleepless nights, I'll be keeping her awake because I am not able to sleep because I was constantly coughing, not able to breathe, wheezing, and all that. So I was, keeping her awake. I am staying awake and keeping her awake, and I'm bothering her to kind of, she had to take me around to the hospitals, all that, you know, all through my childhood. And this did not change much even as I grew. And even when I started working, and then later loved a girl and got married, it is just the person changed, who was staying up through the night, along with me. I was still experiencing those wheezing issues, bronchitis issues, and constant coughing through the nights, and immense pain when you are not able to breathe. Forget sleep, right? And when your loved one is suffering like that, obviously my wife was staying awake, seeing and unable to see me suffer, and unable to even, she's just helpless, like how my mom was. Right? In such situation, your loved ones will be helpless as well, right? So that was what was happening, even when I started working, got married. So those health issues were constant as I grew up, not just the weight. So that was what was at the back of my mind, saying, if I am not able to take care of myself, how am I going to take care of the family? I am bringing another human being into the world. So that became my why. And um, from the next day, I started, uh, playing badminton, trying to go. We were living in an apartment complex where there was, in the middle of the apartment complex was a small, badminton court, sand pit kind of a badminton court, which, uncles were playing around. Mornings they will come down and start playing. It's not really a full size court, but that was good enough for them to play. And that, I turned up the next morning, on our way back from Prasaz. I stopped at a, sports shop and bought myself a badminton racket, and showed up the next morning. And that, I did not even last like a couple of minutes, because I was tired and I had to sit down and catch my breath. So not even 5 minutes I was out, right? But I kept showing up. The next day I maybe lasted 6 minutes. The next day I lasted 7 minutes. So I kept showing up, because I had a clear reason why, of to kind of keep showing up, because that thought at the back of my mind was, I need to do this for my kid, right? So that became my inspiration, that became my why, because even multiple times before this, I've done many, I've gone through many cycles of trying to lose weight and all that, but nothing struck, right? My love for food always came back to haunt me, and I would pile on the kilos back again, and I wouldn't stick to routine, right? But and that saw many gym memberships that were underutilized, like most of us. But this time I had that clear reason why I am doing this, and I kept showing up every day. Um, and to get better at badminton, I started, you know, um running around the apartment complex, so that I can get fitter to play, to play the badminton better. So slowly, and I started doing yoga to improve my flexibility, the stretching and all that is involved in badminton. I wanted to be more agile, so I started doing a bit of yoga. And in all these doing all these, I also focused on portion control, or I began eating just enough to sustain, instead of you know uh, eating just enough to live, instead of just continuously eating how much ever there is. Instead of piling on the calories, I just portion controlled. And I began eating early dinners. So all these together meant that over the course of um, 8 months, from February 2008 to October 2000, October 2008. So those 8 months, I lost 16 kilos. I was 92 kilos, and I came down to 76 kilos. And that also meant that I was able to keep running longer and keep playing, like uh, hour, couple of hours continuously without getting tired. For someone who was not able to even stay for 5 minutes, I was able to continuously play for a couple of hours to uh, at that. And so, and in all this, the kind of side effect of all this was that, more than the weight loss, I was off any sort of medication that I was taking for asthma and all that, because I was relying on a lot of inhalers. All these did not really help when I was not doing any of these physical activities. It was a constant cycle of get sick, recover, I mean, trying to recover for a couple of weeks, and feeling okay for a week, and then the next month it'll start again, the cycle of that sickness, right? uh, and multiple hospital visits, and different experts, nothing really seemed to help. But once I started this journey, these 8 months of improving my aerobic fitness, and making sure that I ate right, all this, basically a lifestyle change is what it was, right? So that really showed a difference, and I never really went on to a hospital again, right? So that was how my weight my health journey started back in 2008. And October 23rd, 2008, uh, 8 months into that journey, my son was 6 months old. That is when I decided I want to make sure that I will continue doing something or the other every day. And what would I do every day? I was going to um, I was going to office every day, right? So commuting I was commuting by scooter at that point of time. I thought, if I uh, included my exercise, integrated my exercise into something that I do every day, which is commuting to office, I would benefit and I would save some time. So that's how the thought came about, and thought of cycling to work has come about. And okay, and I picked up a cycle on 23rd October 2008. It's been 15 years, and that kind of changed everything into a different trajectory of cycling.
That's amazing to know, and that's quite an incredible story, and especially something that you said about your why, right? Like after the thought of becoming a father and the thought of showing up for yourself first, so you can show up for your family the way you want to. That's something that almost, most fathers forget to even think about. Like, even after decades of, being a father, because everything else seems so much more important than taking care of their own health. Like financial responsibility, school, and so many other things that you have to do as a father. But taking care of your health just gets left behind, and that's just incredible. It's very important, I think, for everyone to, like, fill our own cup first, and especially take care of our health, because there's no other way that we can show up for our loved ones, right? So that's one thing, that's one big takeaway for me also personally already. Thank you for sharing that with us. And I did see this on your Instagram as well, about your health. And now that you spoke about it also, that how you had asthma, and you were constantly in this cycle of falling sick and recovering from it. I think a lot of people can relate to this, because we haven't all of us haven't really grown up taking care of our cardiovascular health, or we feel like it's almost become normal to fall sick every other month. Like, it's okay, yeah, it's a recurring thing, we probably don't even do much about it, right? And uh, about our lung health, or the way we take medication, and just don't do anything else apart from that. So what was it like, like you did leave your like the asthma pump and all of those other medication? Like, did you visit your doctor again? And what was the, if yes, what was the conversation like, were they surprised that did your exercise help you do get rid of all of this and all the other lifestyle changes, or what was it like exactly?
So I used to have this regular doctor back in Hyderabad. Um, Once I got fit, I actually, got out of touch with him. So I never really visited him again. So I did not, get a chance to share the learnings from my experience with him. That was a little bit of a, missed opportunity, I would think, because he would have probably advised a lot more people to do something like that. But definitely, the focusing on my aerobic fitness really helped over the last 15 years. There were, it's not like I don't fall sick now, but the frequency is so much less, right? There was there I mean, now I can count the number of times I fell sick, instead of previously it just need to be the number of months in a calendar year. Right now I can count. I fell sick last in 2019 June, because of the pollution, on the commute. I forgot to take mask, and I know, I can remember when, because it is that rare now, right? uh, but uh, see, another thing is that it is very very common, like you said, that we neglect to fill our own cup, to in the need to take care of the family, to take care of others in the family. We kind of tend to neglect our own health. That is one thing that both moms and dads do this is not just for dads itself, right? Moms also kind of they have this tendency to uh, think that they are sacrificing. They are taking care of their loved ones, their children's husband, and all that. But they, and even as simple as it kind of shows in the food that they eat also. uh, it it might not be that you even even in the households where they're economically well off, their needs come last, right? First the husband and the children get all the nutrient stuff, and whatever is left, is comes down to mom's plate, right? That kind of thing needs to change. We have to prioritize our health. We have to make sure that we stay healthy so that we can take care of our loved ones. That perspective change has to come in our society, I think.
Absolutely, that makes so much sense, and I hope that our listeners are becoming more aware of it. And I mean, for you to even think about it just when you were about to become a father is a big deal because, like I said, even I've seen my own father, my own parents, and I feel like women are still somewhere or the other now more vigilant about repairing their health and restoring their health. I mean, must see them. Your mothers or your wife or like any women around you, they are always looking for something, like every other month they might go and try out a class, they might do something, they constantly have this thing on their mind that yes, they're aware of it, they might not be able to do so much about it, but at least for me and for my generation and for my friend's father specifically, like I've seen them decades in the same job, right? Like even for my father, he's in his 50s right now, and they've done the same job, which is super hectic, like long working hours. They just go to work, come back, sleep, and it's the same cycle for decades, right? And now is when he's also becoming more aware of it, like after so much time, right? So it'll be amazing to see so many younger parents also doing that, because that will help them show up for their loved ones a lot better. So thank you for sharing that. And also talking about asthma, like I know so many people who are having asthma, and most of them, like even the doctors or even they themselves, will have this. It'll become an excuse, right? Like I have asthma, I cannot do this, and even the doctors will be like, don't do this, like don't probably work out for that much longer time, and uh, this will just like become an excuse for them to just sit and not do much. Even they won't even walk, like just from their building gate to their own wing inside, right? Like it's that simple. Like that doesn't happen. Probably it's a fear, or it's just something that they have neglected over the years, right? So what are your
Mm.
thoughts? And of course, this is no medical advice. Our listeners know that, and they should definitely go and reach out to the health practitioner. But because you've experienced this yourself, and it's not a small thing at all, because for the people who don't know, people might live with asthma for their whole life, and just being able to get rid of that, get better health, and like not just suboptimally, but like athletic level health. That's a big thing, from going from asthma to that, right? So what are some of your tips for cardiovascular health, and what are some things they can start doing? Someone who has an IT job or who has a desk job, long working hours,
Mm.
what are some things they can start doing if they have asthma and they would love to improve their cardiovascular health?
Right. Like you said, this is not health advice at all, because my case can be vastly different from lot of other people's, and this is such a common issue, and the factors can be very very different from person to person. The triggers can be vastly different. The triggers, in the sense what triggers a person's asthmatic response, can be vastly different. In my case, I think it was mostly poor cardiovascular health, and that kind of even minor dust pollution would trigger a reaction to my body, in my case, right? um, but the triggers can be vastly different, and the response of the body can be vastly different. So nothing that my experience cannot be a general one, and it should not be construed as a medical advice. And there are things like exercise induced asthma as well, right? So even that is a real thing. So you cannot just say, okay, Venky said, just because he exercised he got better, let me do that. That you cannot take it like that. Take proper medical advice, but slowly, as you go on, keep working on start with a simple walk, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Walk for 5 minutes to begin with, for a week, then 6 minutes the next week. We often overestimate what we can achieve in a day, and what underestimate what we can achieve in a year, right? So if you start with 5 minutes walk in week 1, right, you have into 50 weeks. Even if you add 1 minute each week, you end up with more than, nearly an hour of walk, right, at the end of a year. So that is a simple way to start your journey, right? We always very often we make the mistake of taking on too much. That is a sure short way of failure, right? We see that all the time. Even in gym, I go and pay a 1 year subscription, and I want to get trim, and I want to get a beach body, or whatever is my idea of that six pack or whatever, right? You end up starting to do too much. You pump your you pump the weights like crazy in the first day or two, and for the next 1 week or 10 days you will not be able to even walk, right? So that is such a easy way to give up and not continue, right? So don't, when you start your journey, do anything, don't start by doing too much. Take it very slow, take it very easy, but stay consistent. Like I said, if you start by doing 5 minutes a day per a week, and increase by 1 minute each week, you will end up with more than an hour of activity by the end of the year, right? So stay consistent, but keep it very easy and very manageable. That way, you will enjoy and you will stick to that activity. So that is the most basic thing that I can tell anyone who wants to get better. And even the person with, yeah, severe symptoms with asthma can walk, I think, right? um, and that is the simplest of aerobic activity one can talk about. You don't need to run or all that. If you are able to walk, you are exercising your lungs. If you are slowly, that can you can include conscious breathing, slowly over a period of time. When you get better, and you can of course, with the consulting the doctors and stuff, you can include breathing exercises and stuff like that. And then, if the doctor gives okay, then you can slowly add other stuff, something like if you are interested in a game like badminton or other stuff, right? What these games do is it takes away your focus on physical exertion, and directs your attention onto something else, right? Something more enjoyable, something of a contest, right? uh, Games are, you have rules, you have opponents, you have all these things that you are focusing on, and you are not focusing on your movement. The how quickly you have to run, and uh, you are not focusing on your how tired you are, or how much sweat you are how much you are sweating and all that. Your focus is on something else, something that you are enjoying, right? So try and include such activities. And for me, that was one thing that that really helped. And and later it changed to cycling, which became my primary focus. Although I started with commuting, it really did not hold my interest, that okay, I'm not really expending that much energy by commuting. So I added longer weekend rides, and it was not like I want to do 50 kilometers or 100 kilometers and all that. It was like, okay, I need there is this tank bund that I can go to and ride around and come back. And there are these friends that I can ride with and visit this place and come back, right? So this became a morning routine on a weekend, exploring this. Okay, if it is tank bund this week, it was Chilkur temple the other next week. Like that, with a group of friends, find go and explore the region and come back. So that became the focus, but the side effect was improved fitness aerobically, because gradually 20 kilometers became 30, 30 became 50, and 50 became 100. Gradually the distances became longer and longer. The kind of places that we visited became longer and longer. And as a side effect, it was like in improved fitness was the side effect. So look at it that way. Look at your activity as not something that you have to do, right? That you should do, but something that you get to do, right? You have the opportunity to enjoy. You have the opportunity to go for a walk in the park. You have an opportunity to go explore that new place on your bicycle. So that is an excellent opportunity for you, right? You have that opportunity, use it. And as a benefit, as a side effect, you are gaining fitness.
Absolutely. That makes so much sense, and especially the first part, like you mentioned, for people with asthma. I mean, we really underestimate the power that walks, breath work, and playtime can have, right? I mean, when we say exercise, the first thing that might come to anybody's mind is like torture, like I have to torture myself for 1 hour every day. And even if they don't have a background of, like sports or like rigorous workout intensity before, but the moment they take up the first week, it's like let's go 1 hour every single day, let's go 5 days a week, and like setting ourselves up for failures. That's very true and very relatable, and I feel that's why people constantly have these resolutions in and out, and they're not able to go ahead with it, right? And talking about cycling, you did mention a lot of things already, but you've stuck through cycling for 15 years, which is a very long time, right? Like it's almost like any professional athlete would dedicate themselves to one sport. And it's really amazing to find that one movement that you love, and you really don't have to like push yourself too much to stick to it. It comes naturally to you, right? And you found that to be cycling, and I'm sure a lot of other things as well. What would be some of your tips for your new cyclers? Like, what should their goals look like, say, for the first month, the first 3 months? Like, what should they, what should the benchmark be like? What should they expect out of themselves in the first 3 months in order to not overdo it as well, and also, keep that, hit that sweet spot where they love the movement and where they are able to sustain it and they look forward to it, and not as something that's prescribed to them.
Right. Like I said, um, start very slow. Start very basic. Don't look at it as an exercise. It is very common for everyone to get enamored by the numbers, right? These Strava apps, people typically start with using apps to track the distance and speeds, and that is something that we constantly try to beat. right? Our So I went at 20 kmph for 30 kilometers yesterday. I want to go at 21 kmph today, or I want to get to 25 kmph or 30 kmph by next week, all that, right? So that can become, I mean, that see, it has both positive and negative sides to it, right? uh, eh, like most things in life. So if you are fixated, those things, looking at the numbers, they can become motivators to kind of, as long as you are seeing that improvement, it is very motivating to see that, right? Oh, I am improving. So that can be a kind of incentive to keep showing up. But there would come a time when the improvements are not the same anymore, because when you start any activity, it is very easy to see a quick jump in improvement, but you kind of stagnate, right? That is true for any activity, and it is true for cycling as well. When you start, you will see, oh yeah, I'm getting from, he got from 20 to 22, 22, 25 kmph, 30 kmph. Oh, I am doing 30 kmph, yes, but I am stuck there, right? And how do I improve? That is that is such a common question I get from most people. But I want to remind people, I usually ask, why did you start cycling, right? Remember that, when you started cycling, what was your goal? What is the reason that you started cycling, and what kept you going, right? uh, I'm sure it is not the speed that became the primary focus. I wanted to be so fast, that's why I'm cycling. That is never usually the case. It might be that I want to become fitter. It might be that I just enjoy the nature, all these things, right? Go to that why again, right? Rediscover your love for that activity, and then automatically you will see improvements, at a later point of time. But that, going back to that why, would ensure that you stick to that activity, because that love is, that enjoyment is what kept you, start what got you started in the first place. And that will most likely be the same. Now, if I stop cycling, I know that all my health complications will come back, right? So that actually is at the back of my mind always, when I take a break, a long break, and fall off the wagon. So that is always there on the back of my mind, and I'll say, no, no, I have to get back. And this is the reason why. My health is the primary reason. So I keep going back. I keep getting back. That is what got me into the cycling, and that is what keeps me going in the cycling. So the advice that I give anyone to kind of stick to an activity is not get enamored by numbers and speeds, distances, and all that, because that is always a kind of sure shot way to failure. Because it will always, you will always hit a ceiling. But remember always what got you started. Why did you start? That, as long as you have that why, you will keep going, right? So keep but it is always great to have goals, you know kind of these events. For me, it became the events, like in 2011 I signed up for tour of Nilgiris, which is a 7-day tour in the Nilgiris, in around Ooty and all that, right? So 900 kilometers in over a period of 7 days in the hills, that became my aspiration. right? That became my aspiration. And in 2011, when I signed up, and when my registration got accepted, and I was so excited, because it is something that I was like, I didn't know if I could do it, but it is something that I really wanted to do, right? And that became my motivation over the next 6 months, to show up every morning, to get ready for that, right? So over those 6 months preparing for that event, I rode like some 10,000 kilometers or something, and I lost another 12 kilos in the process, right? So that became another reason, beyond my health. That became another something that uh, kept my focus razor sharp, right? So these kind of events can be really really something that can keep your focus from time to time. These intermediate goals can be really something that can motivate you, keep give you something to aim for, something to look forward to, right? So that in 2011, that became Tour of Nilgiris. After that, regular racing in Bangalore bicycling championships, that we have monthly races here. So those monthly races became a thing, right? So those became okay. So I need to I signed up for this, so I will prepare for this, right? So what can I do to prepare for this? Okay, I'll write this much this week, then this much this week, and then I will reduce the volume, or closer to the race, and become fitter and fresher. So all these kind of, it's like a gamification, right? Gamification of your activity. So although you have to always remember why you started and why you love this, you also have to you can also gamify this, right? So that kind of gamification helps you stay focused and stay on track. And these events, like it can be club races, it can be events and tours like Tour of Nilgiris, Tour of Karnataka, a lot of other things that have come up nowadays, right? So all these can become intermediate goals that can kind of keep you moving along the way,
Right.
right? So you can gamify and keep your focus and continue your journey over a period of time. So for me, all these things kind of helped me stay on track over the last 15 years, to continue doing it. Yeah.
Absolutely, and that's really great to know. It's very true that we can easily get lost into stacking numbers once we begin,
Yeah.
and I mean, you can do it for a couple of months. You might enjoy it, but like, what after that, right? Like, I mean, then you just lost your why. You've lost the love for that movement as well. So that makes so much sense. And also, these are some amazing goals to look forward to. These community events, or it'll be great opportunity for you to travel, and also include movement in that travel. It doesn't always have to be that you have to party or drink out, or like do those things in order to take a break from your life or whatever. Like there can be these events and these smaller events where community events, it does give you a sense of accomplishment as well, because as an adult it's really important for us to have a sense of accomplishment. If we are just like lost into our daily work targets and working hours and the weekends, that's it. But I think taking up a sport like this, and also giving yourself the opportunity to compete and for healthy competitions, and then preparing yourself for that, it's like a great sense of accomplishment that will do us wonders in our professional life and our personal life as well. So that's really amazing to see. And you're 45 years old right now, right?
Yeah.
It's really great to see you at such great health, touch wood, and doing these things and doing it for 15 years. And I hope that our audience take this up and see you leading by example, and do take it up, because something that you also mentioned about just commuting to work with a cycle. I mean, it's just as simple as that, right? Like, I mean, I know so many people, like even friends who are my age, who are very excited about cycling, and they just bought the most expensive cycle they could get, and now it's just dusting around in their parking, nothing else. And they could use it for so many reasons, and like just commuting. It doesn't have to be that I have to go and cycle for 1 hour, or hitting the numbers, right? So that makes so much sense. And
Right.
it doesn't make you feel like you're working out, really. So it doesn't have to be torture. It doesn't have to be you going to the gym if you don't like it. So that's amazing. Thank you so much. I mean, this was an amazing episode, and the clarity of thought it gave us an audience, I'm sure that it's going to trigger a lot of them, to get started with cycling or any other sport for that matter, and to take it slow as well. And as we come to the conclude of this episode, do you have any last messages or thoughts to leave us with?
Yeah, I mean, on the same lines, I would, gamification of, I said the gamification of your activity kind of helps. And these events, your club races and these tours and all these kind of help you, stay focused and stay this thing. But, even there, I have a word of caution, because it is very easy to kind of take ourselves too seriously, right? If it is very easy for us to take ourselves too seriously and say, if I don't have a chance to uh, win or make a podium, I won't show up, right? That is that is really a very unhealthy way of looking at things. It is a very shoe short way of, it is very similar to what, we focusing obsessing on numbers and not hitting the numbers, and that's a, like I said, that's a sure short way of failure. It's a sure short way of giving up sport as well. If you are obsessing about the results, or about wanting to win, wanting to really do well, all or nothing kind of uh, uh, attitude is not going to really help. I've seen so many of my friends who got into that kind of rut. Even at times, I also got into that kind of thinking. And I had to hold myself accountable and ask myself, introspect and say, what what are you doing? Why don't you just show up and have fun at the event? What is it? How did you get started on this path? Remember that, go support the events. If nothing else, go pay the registration fee, so that the event actually benefits, and there are more, they get a lift out of more participation and more, all that. If nothing else, do it for the community, for the event and all that. Don't take yourself so seriously. No one really you know cares about a 45-year-old, not winning and all that. We have to, you know have that dialogue with ourselves and remember why we are doing this. It is for fun.
Exactly.
You're not going, it is for fun. That, if you remember, everything else will take care of itself. Keep doing it for the right reasons. Have fun. Don't take yourself too seriously. Stay safe. Whatever you do, take, fitness doesn't equal health. You have to remember that. You keep getting regular health checkups. Even if you are, if you think that you are super fit, it doesn't mean you are super healthy, right? You have to make sure that your health is on track. So, like, you check your metrics, like you check your power numbers and all that, when you for your activity, you check your pace for your running and all that. Keep checking your health metrics as well. Get regular health checkups and make sure that you are all your health metrics are on in line with what they should be. and that you are staying healthy for yourself and your family. That is the most important thing.
Absolutely. That's a lovely message. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for being here today, Mr. Venky, and giving us your time and your amazing insights. And this brings us to the end of the podcast today. It was really amazing to have you. Really grateful to have you as a guest here today. And this one episode just gave us so many insights, and it made us really made it really simple for us, right? Like, I mean, to think about all of this can be quite complicated when we get lost in the numbers or the other things, but you've just made it so much simpler, and it's really amazing to see that. And for the ones who'd like to reach out to you, the links will be in the description below, a link to your podcast and also your Instagram, and anybody can reach out to you. They can also probably work with you sometime in the future. So thank you so much once again for being here today. That's it for today's episode. I'm Sakshi Pawar, and I'll be your host for the Settle or Be Better podcast. So stay tuned while we bring more inspiring stories. You know the drill. Subscribe to the Settle or Be Better podcast, like, share, and comment on our videos. And oh, hit the bell icon because you don't want to miss the mind boggling health discussions we're about to bring for you. Why settle when you can be better?